Chapter 1. How did you get into this? My wife Catherine and I get asked a lot of questions when we're traveling and ministering. One of the most common questions is something similar to this. How did you get into this ministry? My usual answer to that question is, I needed it. This is the story of my journey. I didn't grow up with any real understanding of God or faith. I was a very confused child in a very broken family. At a young age, I started looking for any creative way to numb the emotional pain I was experiencing. When I was 10, I remember a specific moment when I shut down my emotions. They were of no good use to me. By the time I was 15, I was in a very dark place, involved with behaviors and activities that I should not have been involved with. I was so empty by then that when one of the things I was holding on to for a sense of purpose fell apart, I attempted suicide. Fortunately, I was not successful. At that point in my life, my apathy was so strong that I wasn't even inspired to try again when the first attempt failed. From there, I stumbled along in life, wounded and empty, with no desire for or knowledge of God. During that time, I didn't really have any examples of Christianity that represented anything that was helpful to my life. I mocked the whole idea of God. Fast forward to when I was 30, I was married to Catherine and we had our 2 children by then. Our daughter was 6 and our son was 1. Catherine had recently come to know Jesus. Though she came to know him in a very powerful way, it didn't really affect me. If she needed that crutch, and it helped, good for her. I just didn't think I needed it. At one point around that time, while I was alone in our bedroom, I proposed a challenge to the Lord. I spoke out to him. If you are real, reveal yourself to me. Otherwise, I'm just talking to myself. Then I went on with my day. That was it. That was the extent of my prayer. Well, a few weeks later, I experienced what I now know to be a vision. I still remember it and can feel it like it happened yesterday. In the vision, I was standing in the doorway of my dad's office that was in the basement of my childhood home. The room was completely empty. There was no furniture, bookshelves, or anything that had actually been in his office. Another odd thing was that there was a large fireplace on the wall across from me with a fire burning in it. This was odd because there was no fireplace in my dad's old office. I stood there, a little bewildered and wondering why I was there. Then, as I looked over at the fire in the fireplace, it started to move. It began to grow and come out of the fireplace. The different flames of the fire began to extend and reach for me like fingers on a hand. That moment still brings chills to me. That is the moment when it all made sense. I could feel the fires of hell reaching for me, and I began to understand what that meant for me. As the fire was growing and it began to come toward me, fear rose up in me. Just before the hand of flames reached me, I called out to Jesus. I didn't even understand why I knew to do that. I just did it. When I did, he came to me. He entered into the vision from behind and above me on my right side. As he drew near, the fire and the rest of the vision faded until it was all just the brightness of his presence. Once I was overtaken by his presence and the fear was gone, I came out of the vision and was back in our bedroom. The same room I had been in just a few weeks ago when I flippantly asked God to reveal himself.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.